Welcome to Course 3, Unit 2. In the previous unit, we introduced all the different development stages of an international standard. In this unit, you will find out why we need to go through these different stages. Before going further, make sure you understand the development stages we talked about in Course 3, Unit 1. It might seem as though there are many stages and lots of obstacles to overcome in order to publish an international standard. So why do we need all these different stages? The answer is to build consensus on a working document. You may remember from Course 1, Unit 3, that consensus is a key principle on which standardization is built. ISO defines it as a general agreement characterized by the absence of sustained opposition to substantial issues by any important part of the concerned interests, and by a process that involves seeking to take into account the views of all parties concerned and to reconcile any conflicting arguments. To recap from the development stages that we introduced in the previous unit, remember that a project starts at the preliminary stage with a preliminary work item and ends in the publication of an international standard. Consensus is built throughout the process when the draft is submitted for approval to different levels of membership, from experts in the working group through to all national bodies. The preliminary work item and the new work item proposal are considered and voted on by national member bodies who are members of the committee. This is when it is determined whether a project is globally relevant, whether the market needs it, and if there are sufficient experts who will commit to working on it. Without these important initial stages, the project would not progress any further. The project is then in the hands of the experts who work on the draft. When consensus is reached between the experts, the document progresses to the committee stage. At the committee stage, it is once again the committee members who vote on the draft on behalf of their national mirror committees. The ballots for the draft and the final draft international standard are open to all ISO members, so not only the national bodies who are members of the committee developing the standard. Lastly, the publication stage is not a voting stage. This is when the ISO Central Secretariat will correct any typographical errors or make small editorial changes and finally process the document for publication. If we look at the level of consensus at each stage, we see that the working group experts have found the draft to be mature enough to withstand scrutiny at the next stage. Then the national bodies pass the document at CD stage for an even higher level of consensus. The ISO members then approve the document at DIS and FDIS stages, resulting in publication as a result of a system of steadily increasing consensus. If at any stage consensus is not reached, then the draft must go back for revision before it can be resubmitted. This slide shows nicely the different stages with the growing consensus at different levels of membership. At each stage, depending on the voting results and the comments received, it is the working group experts who amend the draft so that it can be resubmitted.